I want to go on the final topic here, and it's going to regard it. It's regarding the topic of fighting in hockey. Okay, and it's a lot. It's very obvious that like fighting in hockey has decreased in a sense. Okay, like it's still there, it still happens, but it's not. The role of the enforcer is dying down. The role of the goon, if you want to use that term, is dying down. But lately, we've been seeing a lot more now than ever. Is that when a guy delivers a clean hit, not dirty, not cheap, clean, he has to pay the price by dropping the gloves right away. The whole point about when fighting came in was the whole point about the enforcer rule was because if you went after the superstar, but if you did anything dirty to any player, the enforcer's coming after you. Now it's comes down to the guy that just delivers a clean hit. He has to answer the bell, and there's a lot of fans and people in the business of hockey. They're upset. They hate when that happens, and I don't hate it, but like I don't think it's necessary either. And I'm not talking about fighting. I've listened. I love fighting in hockey. I do. I'm willing to admit that, and I'll go and I'll take that to my grave. I'm not violent, but I love it. Okay, I'm not a violent person, but I do love it. I think there is a place for it. When Jonathan Kovacevic hit, who was it? Was it Alec Martinez or was it Shea Theodore in Vegas? He had to answer the bell right away. Okay, and if you
He
look at the
fought. He fought Martinez. Yeah,
he fought Martinez. So there you go. So
but it
like,
wasn't. Yeah.
so if you look at the replay, Martinez was skating up to him, and I think Kovacevic assumed that fuck, I have to answer the bell. He dropped the gloves anyways. They both went at it. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with, like, let's say Chris, you and I are on the same team, and if a guy fucking hits you, I don't mind, like, if a player, like let's say we'll use us for example, a guy hits you, and if I were to go after the other guy, not drop the gloves, but like kind of give him a nudge and be like, yo, like, clean hit, whatever, fine, it was legal, fine, it wasn't dirty, but you're still hitting my star player. Like, think twice next time, or else I might come after you. Like, I don't mind that. I don't mind the guy that goes and defend the teammates. I just think though, if you have to fight because you obey the rules by delivering a clean hit, I find that shitty. And it's because of stuff like that now that just adds fuel to the fire in that whole debate about should there be fighting in hockey.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready? I
Ready to
fucking
drop
hate
them.
that. I
Mm-hmm.
fucking look. Number one, I'm a caveman in that sense. I love watching fighting in hockey. It's it, it it's a part of the game. I
Yeah.
think it has to stay. And I think when tempers boil over and when guys are pissed off because there's back and forth and there's continuous hitting and then there's questionable shit that happens on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Is it dirty? Is it with intent to fucking injure? Are there, is it, like you said, there's hitting in hockey. Fucking pick yourself up, dust the fucking snow off yourself, and get back to fucking play. But a nice clean hit, you separate the guy from the puck. Like, again, separate a guy from the puck, fucking get up, continue playing. And I'm hating the fact that guys are having to answer to these things. On the other end, you have a guy who's like, the player on your team doesn't have the puck, just skating up the ice, and there's a fucking interference. Like he skates
Mm-hmm.
up, you bash a guy and you knock him down to the ice. There's no other intention other than to piss the guy off,
Mm-hmm.
injure him, or there's malice, there's malintent
Mm-hmm.
behind
Of
the
course.
action. You
Of course.
fucking drop the gloves and you set the fucking thing straight right then and there. Fighting is essential. Fighting is needed. But yeah, it reminds me what's going on now, and maybe it's just the Montreal side of me. It used to piss me off back in the days when The Boston Bruins had Milan Lucic, uh, Nathan Horton. They had Chara. They had Johnny Boychuk. They had Adam McQuaid. They had all a bunch of fucking guys who love to fight. Every single time one of their the big B on their chest stood for bitch. Every single time one of them used to get bumped, they used to have to fucking throw off the gloves and they used to beat the shit out of fucking guys who were non-fighters. I hated that. And
Well,
that's kind of
especially
what we're seeing.
Lucic. Lucic picked on fucking guys he knew he would win. That's why he didn't dare to drop the gloves against a guy like George Larac. And George Larac challenged him, and people at that time were like, "Why didn't you jump him? Why didn't you jump him?" He's like, "I can't jump him. If I jump him, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. If I beat the shit out of him, I'm going to get suspended. I'm going to be made an example of. If he's dead, I could go to jail, obviously, duh." But Larac said, he's like, every time I was there, Lucic did nothing to the Canadians. And it's true. It's fucking true. It's so true. And this is why, again, you have a guy like Arbor Xhekaj on the team. He's made his name across the league, man. Everybody knows he's a fucking tough kid. Okay? Like people are going to think twice now before messing with the K's. And Pezzetta's going to drop. Pezzetta, he's not a fighter, but the guy, he's brave enough. He's got the palle, like we say in Italian. He's got balls of steel. We're Italian. We could say this. He's got balls of steel. He'll drop them against anyone if he can. Then again, to work, that's another way of showing him that he wants to stay on this team. He wants to stay in the NHL to be in the show. Like, and I understand there's people that don't want fighting. Fine, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it, but you remove fighting in the NHL, the amount of cheap shots and dirty hits are gonna fucking
skyrocket.
They're gonna skyrocket, and then you're gonna see and wonder how, like, why is there so many concussions in the game of hockey? That's all I'm saying. It's literally comes out. And the reason why I'm bringing up this topic is because did you see in the Quebec Major Juniors they're banning fighting?
Watch the consequences of it. I mean, I know there's no fighting. Look, I know there's no fighting at the international level, but these kids they're skill players. They're not brawlers.
Yeah.
When you have a bunch of tough kids, some of those kids they're gonna get walloped. They're gonna get destroyed because you got significantly tougher guys. Like you think of a guy like Arbor Xhekaj, that too. Like you're gonna have a lot of.
He's happy he's no longer in junior, because if they start removing that in the OHL, like if there's one, if you look at this, the Canadian Hockey League, the Quebec Major Junior, the OHL and WHL, whatever happens in one league, chances are it transfers and spreads to the other two. So I think the OHL is slowly going to go to no fighting as well. And a guy like Arbor Xhekaj is going to be like, fuck, thank God I was able to do it when I was.
Oh fuck! He was able to set himself apart in doing what he did, but again, just going back to it, just to put a bow on it. Again, stop the nonsensical. Like I would say at every level, stop the nonsense. And it's funny because it's happening more and more just at the NHL level rather than the junior levels, which we're concentrating on. The nonsensical need to answer for a good hit, like again, Jacob Trouba, another very good example of that when he was
Pittsburgh.
playing against
Was it
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh?
also playing against Boston just a few like a week ago or so when
Oh, okay.
New
Okay.
York it was Rangers against Boston, one of the first
Yep.
games Patrick Kane was playing. You know, Trouba comes in and he lines up a player, he hits him down, clean hit, hockey hit. Stop fucking feeling the need. Like you want to avenge the play, wait for Truba to be in the corner, and you fucking smash him one for one. I hate the need, like I hate this need to automatically fight, but at the same time, please, for the love of God, keep fighting, because when it gets out of hand and you start to have people acting out,
Well,
we're you
here's
need to settle the score because you're gonna watch what happens in the queue. Watch.
well, so the thing about the fighting, remove fight, because don't forget in the Quebec Major Juniors and just in junior, some of these kids go at the age of 16 and they're up against 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds. Like, you'll remove the fact that you could have a 20-year-old kid beating the shit out of a 16, 17-year-old. Like it's basically an adult beating the shit out of a minor, basically. So you'll reduce that, but you'll reduce that aspect for sure. But I think I don't know, man. I'm still worried that the cheap shots are still gonna not skyrocket, but there's gonna be a lot of cheap shot, dirty hits because there's no consequences. And I think if you want to reduce the having to answer the bell when you make a clean hit, if let's say I think you the instigator, instead of making it 2 minutes, make it a 5 minute major.
Yeah.
I say make it a 5 minute major. You know, like, and it doesn't mean you're gonna reduce fighting, but in a sense you will. But you're gonna reduce the nonsensical method of it, like you said, because like if you deliver a clean hit and then somebody's gonna come after you because you did, well, fuck, because I did that, I'm sitting not just 5 minutes for fighting, but then another guy's gonna have to get off the ice 5 minutes as a major penalty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Well, Martinez,
or I'm there for 5 minutes no matter what. But that's
yeah,
but
but
I
they
but I
have to
just yeah.
they have to make sure that they fucking enforce that properly. Martinez clearly, I know Kovacevic was still first to drop his gloves, but Martinez skating up to him like that, that's in all of our fucking experience watching hockey. That's pretty much code for drop the
Yeah,
gloves
yeah,
for
that's
going
that's
right
that's
now.
the international signal, exactly. So
And did he get like I this is where I don't want to mislead
I
our
don't think
listeners, but I
I
don't
don't
think
think
he
he
got a
got a
fucking
2 minute instigator.
exactly that.
So
So it's that kind of shit that they have to fucking like clear it up, fucking apply the rules accordingly. But I don't know. You know, it's it's funny because we have a bunch of the NHL. I'd argue has never been and don't laugh, and I'm not making fun of them, but they've never been wimpier. There are like a handful of guys in this league that are fucking really mean, tough,
oh yeah,
scary dudes,
it's
and
yeah.
then the rest of them are just like
Well, the tough ones
so
that remain,
pathetic.
it's like, it's Ryan Reeves, it's the Nicola Delory that are left. Arbor Jack guy is gonna be one of them, but that enforcer rule, the enforcer role, excuse me, is unfortunately a dying breed, and it's I look back to what's his face there, to Brian, what's his face there, he's the GM of the Maple Leafs,
Ryan Burke.
Brian Burke, when he said
Truculence is the
yeah,
word
yeah.
that you're looking for.
When he said today it's a sad day in hockey when I know like a guy like Colton Orr cannot play in this league anymore, and he was serious. Like I remember that when he sent Colton Orr down to the minors because he was just an enforcer, and he said he's like I don't like the way where this league is heading, but when a guy like Colton Orr cannot be used in the NHL anymore. He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. I understand it's all like there's the skill level is at a level that we've never seen before, and it's the skill levels gonna keep getting better and better. But I'm like you, please don't remove the fighting. Like I need that in my life. Like I live
Well,
vicariously through these guys.
y- you know what it feels like, and it's going to be a strange analogy or comparison. Like even the NHL All-Star game, it's becoming more and more of a farce. I'm not saying the game is becoming more and more of a farce because you're dead on point when you
Mhm.
say it's becoming more of a skill game. We're seeing more and more special plays. The mission, like don't get me wrong, the Michigan is never going to get old. When somebody's able
Yeah,
to pull something like that off in a game, like the degree to which that is complicated, and anybody just go take a puck, go take a stick, go get a pair of skates on and try to lift it off the ground. Sammy and I can attest to it. It's hard doing it standing still.
yeah.
Imagine against a bunch of professionals. So again, there's a level of
At that
appreciation
speed,
for that,
yeah, yeah.
but there's an element to the game of hockey. Sometimes it's a little bit of an ugly element, but some of the best rivalries, some of the most emotionally charged games and most significant
Mhm.
games, like going up against other teams, like the year that and again, it's horrible to allude to it, but the year when Pacioretty got hit by Chara, pretty much every single game that
Mhm.
year, before and after that hit,
Oh yeah.
they were so like you were like, okay, when is Montreal playing Boston? I'm clearing my
It's
schedule. I'm sitting in
it's so
front of the
true
TV.
though. It's
It's
it's it's so true. Like if everyone's there, oh, like, oh, the rivalry between Montreal and Boston is dying down. Well, why is it? Because there's
yeah,
less of
there's no hatred.
there's no exactly. It's
But and I remember being my friend David. Um, like I remember when Tim Thomas is skating down the ice to go fucking face
oh,
off with Price, and I'm picking up my phone. I'm like,
oh my god, I remember that. I remember
like
that.
the
But
excite.
yeah, that was a bad game too because like I just remember seeing what's his name, um fucking Tom Pyatt just fucking I don't know who the heck was beating the shit out, but
It,
with the elbow
it was
pad was
Gregory
just
Campbell. It was
fucking
Gregory Campbell.
poor Tom Pyatt. He looked like the fucking conductor's wand at the end of at the other side of that. Just oh my god, it was brutal. Spot check too was getting just fucking like I don't know who was being spot checked, but him too. He's just like yeah, no problem,
It
no
was
problem.
Johnny Boychuk who beat the shit out of Spot Check. It
Yeah, that's
was it
it.
was Gregory Campbell who beat the shit out of Tom Pyatt. It was
Char-
Benoit
yeah,
Pouliot who fucking caved in
come on.
Krejci with a one punch. You had Tim Thomas and Carey Price facing off, which a goalie fight was just mind blowing. Um, the list. Honestly, Montreal didn't have the best fighters, and that I
No, we
still
didn't
have
have
a degree
anybody.
to like. I'm hoping that Arbor Jackeye kind of evens a score that dates back several years. But even if you want to separate that, you look at Detroit and Colorado
Oh my
back in
god, in
the
the
late
'90s, it was
'90s. Like
nuts. They
again,
hated Claude Lemieux. Oh my god, they
but
hated him.
but that's the thing. Late '90s, early 2000s, more
Mhm.
early 2000s, more like it. You think about those games, and even if you're not a fan of that team in particular, Edmonton Oilers and Calgary Flames, only a few
Fuck
years
yeah.
ago when they had more tough guys,
Oh my
those
god.
teams were playing the emotion, the fucking anger that they had with one another. Then you brought in these fighters. There was such like, yeah, skill is fun, but it's like, it's our guy fucking against
Oh,
your
okay.
guy. There's a
Oh,
there's a
come on. Like, we're not even fans of that. Like, I enjoy watching them, but like when Zach Cassian was trying to beat the shit out of Matthew Kachuk, and then the two goalies were going at it too. Holy fuck! It was awesome.
exactly.
I like that old time hockey game. Call me old school.
Yeah. Oh,
You and I have that rage in our blood. It's a family curse, but